sad little apartment in Vancouver. And the funny thing is I don't remember why I was there. But I do remember that he had like, it was like there was like a Lego structure or some kind of a, you know, a kid's, something that a child had obviously built in the middle of his very tiny little sad living room. And but he said, he was living in Vancouver because his, I don't know, ex-wife had moved there with his son, and who was 4, and my son was also 4. And he explained that he could not bear to take down the Lego thing that his son had made when his son went back to his mom's. And it was in that moment that I fell in love with Chris Lynette, and the rest is history. So,
That's not the story until you're going to tell it. That's a good story.
that was the clean version.
That was the clean.
Yeah.
The other one was over at the bar.
Yeah, later, after parties.
Thanks, Lori.
Our sons became friends.
Yeah, they did.
They did,
And they did everything together for a lot of years. So it was fun. We had Jake Day.
Yes.
Just, once a week. So it was fun. Okay. Are you ready?
Sure.
Help me welcome Chris back into tonight.
Thank you. So I wanted to tell the story I thought Lori was going to tell, and I think I can do it quickly. The very first Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic, before it had a title, we just had the phrase, all ages and uncensored, which I very much believe in, and we still practice. The very first night, it was also the first time I was meeting her and her entire family. They were all there. So because nothing was happening in Vancouver at that time, I had a full house on the first night. I didn't have any titles in front of my name, nobody knew who I was. There was really just no place to go to do open mic poetry in Vancouver, so if you happen to be the first person doing something then, you know what I mean? I was filling a need. So on the first night, one of our poets used the C word. I knew that this was a possibility, being someone that believes in free speech and all that, but I didn't expect it to happen on my very first night as an open mic host. And then someone there objected because there were children present, and those children were Lori's children, who I didn't know yet. And so I said, you know what, I'll go over and I'll talk to the family, I'll see how they're doing. Because I'm not going to tell the guy to leave, I'm not going to tell him what he can say, I don't do things that way. So I was trying to, and so I went over, not only were they not offended that the C word had been spoken in the presence of their small children, ask the ladies, I'm not going to say it because they don't want me to say it, and not only did they not care that it was said in the presence of the small children, the person who said it was like a dear friend of the family. So that was the day that Lori and I became friends forever, and our kids became friends forever too, so yeah. I mean, that to me was like a sign that this could work out, if we could, because one of the things about dropping the C-bomb on your very first reading is you get that out of the way. People don't feel the need to use it. So I need to change some things up. One thing that I didn't do was, I didn't read the title poem, and I think I want to do that for you. So I have to figure out where it is. So the title of the book and the title of the poem, Message from the Vessel in a Dream, is actually quite literal. The only time that I received poetry during a dream or from a dream was in a dream that I had of Carlos Santana, who was very important to me. And he gave me the 2 lines, "You make your appearance known through some creator." And that's the only time in my life that that's happened. And that's why the book is dedicated to him. So we'll start the second set with this. And this is one that goes actually all the way back to film school. So the stories that I'm telling here are about people in a conservatory arts environment, but the guy here who stares the brick wall down is a guy who was a mathematics major, spent the whole night playing his guitar while staring at the brick wall, because on this campus it's all bricks everywhere. They would shoot sci-fi movies there, that's how much brick there was. And by the end of the night he had decided he couldn't do math anymore. He had to, concentrate on his music. So, Message from the Vessel in a Dream. Completely still, seemingly emotionless, yet blowing notes to charm succeeding ages. It matters little whether one studies flow or counterpoint, so long as eventually the instrument is raised to the lips. You make your appearance known through some creator. Neither Duke nor Train ever revealed the source. A wisdom too precious to put a name to, something not unlike the sound of the heart beating in the chest of your firstborn. Listen to the wind as interpreted. Remember how his hips' involuntary Poughkeepsie shimmy showed you how it was done. Never forget promises made in the quiet of the early morning, priorities set straight, a brick wall stared down till dawn. Experience cool breeze, adrenaline release, and never forget you learn to listen. Don't forget to breathe. So the vessel is Carlos, because when Carlos plays his music, it's like, he's a very good guitar player, obviously, but it's like he's channeling some energy that's moving through him. That's why he's the vessel in the dream. Okay. This poem is for someone who no longer lives here, but was one of my earliest friends here in this area, and he probably still needs to hear it. I mean, he's not here, but this is another one of those things. It's sort of for poets. Probably everybody in here will find themselves in some part of it. It's called A Rant for Sean Patrick Hill, and any poet who will listen. Time spent sniffing elders' arses may be necessary for the learned to have something to say at salons and dinner parties. But before we leave the ranters, the street cats, and the slang slingers behind in the literary remainder bin, take a moment to consider that ours is an oral tradition, however well documented. This storyteller has seen, heard his share of loudmouth, no-talent shouters. Nevertheless, I believe that a poet should go forth with all possible tools at his disposal. Her postmodern sesh stuffed with rhyme, meter, philosophy, melody, gunfire, dialect, subway clack, blaxploitation samples, vernacular, grid, spam, or mad lib. There's a reason Whitman referred to them as songs. For a poet to declare himself done with spoken word is patently absurd. For without the word made flesh, without the thought made breath, there'd be no poesy at all. Enough of this elitist bull in F. Christ himself was one of the first slam poets, shouting his wild notions to any and all who would stop to listen and not making a cent. Angel-headed hipster spawned an entire belief system, not to mention centuries of madness and bloodshed. Remember, it's the quiet ones you gotta watch out for, the quiet ones. He seemed like such a nice boy, who end up driving around with a body under a tarp in the back of their pickup. A little girl bound to a cot in a basement dungeon, or simmering human body parts in a crock pot. However marginalized we may feel, however devalued these words may be, it is absolutely crucial that we speak now, if for no other reason than allowing history to record that a few of us protested the jackboot at the throat of our glorious dream, democracy. We are lunatics who hope to lasso the inevitable, to impose order on all that is beyond our understanding or ability to control, been disabled, done forgiven the soul murderers, the glazed-eyed bitches who just don't get it. And what is there to get? We are lunatics who slap labels on metaphysics, moonlight, and the nature of nature itself. Impressed by our own cleverness, satisfied to have established our own superiority, we sit in coffee shops and classrooms smug, ears plugged, eyes sealed. Open them again, and you shall be healed. Loving poetry is like being a fan of horror movies, so enamored with the genre that you are willing to sit through movies that are completely moronic and not at all scary, in the hopes of catching that one unique concept, or cool character, or original way of dispatching with someone. The basketball, which completely obliterates a person's head in that piece of shit, Deadly Friend, or the fully grown adult male who claws his way out of the woman who has been raped by an alien in Extra. You stick with it to the end because you love it, fully realizing that it can't all be The Exorcist, The Omen, or Night of the Living Dead. Can't all be Cronenberg, Argento, Luton, Whale, or Carpenter. Dig? Procrastinators recreate reciprocal feedback, angel food cake, the perfect foot, perfectly bare, bouncing casually before my lustful stare, one typically Pacific Northwest flip-flop, dangling from the toes I long to suckle and care for, except she's an evacuee, and I'm a sultan trapped in a dime store Buddha's body. This is just an aside, one side of the story. This is just a glimpse of the perfectly full of shit narrative I've carefully devised to deflect attention from my growing belly. A pear is no object. Very well then, I contradict myself. I contain multitudes. Always wanted to be larger than life, like Morrison, Mingus, or Cinemascope. Won't you wrap those beautiful arms around my habit-forming girth, break off some for a rationalization junkie in chains of mind locked up? She threw 3 baby Jesuses from the trestle into the San Francisco Bay, drowned her own flesh and it barely registered. Scumbags like William Bennett will blame her DNA, while he and his brown shirts fuck the lower class every day. Painful to even glance at the columns anymore, but we must not turn away. It is time to reclaim the language in the service of noise, bliss, and revolution. Ancient bards suffer from diminished expectation, unaware of the beauty and the truth revealed by their every exhalation. Big Guy knows what I'm talking about. Griot gets it. Ghetto rapper is aware. Cage was hit. Jungian slip on the scientific tip. Moronic design, but even after all, the blood, she's still fine. Message from the vessel in a dream. No holds barred. Tear it up. It's got nothing to do with me. That felt good. This is a, thank you. That's really, in a way, it's like that's a bi-coastal poem. It's a half New York, half Pacific Northwest poem. This one is all New York City. Your Lord is a traffic cop. Diamonds are forever? Well, so are mutilations. Stars in waiting line the subway platforms of NYC, posing for magazine covers. These slaves speak a foreign tongue that defies interpretation, coded, branded, and supposed to death. Listen to the music in their exhalation, reflection of the condescension inherent in your well-practiced presumption. What's the story behind those eyes? Lids heavy, what kind of trouble have they seen? Where have those hands been? I'm going to skip a couple. You plan these things out and then you try to be all professional and shit and then other things happen. And you show up at the thing. Yeah, so this is the last part of a 4-part thing about music. Ian King did this great book, Crate Full of Records. We did the launch here. Ian knows, and other people here know how important music is to me. The title of the book comes from Carlos. So this is some of my thoughts about the whole music thing. It is not easy to come to, it's called Charmed Life, sorry. It is not easy to come to a definitive conclusion about fortune. Is everything predestined, or do we make our own luck? Can our desires be made manifest? Do we simply dress the chaos of our lives in the cloak of post-justification, or are we mages, molding reality to our whim? Slash through the net of habit-forming thoughts. Rock is all about guitar. Jazz guitar is lame because they always play clean, always play it safe, mit out soul. Santana isn't merely virtuosic, he is the vessel for a sound that comes from somewhere beyond him. The vibration of his guitar strings uplifts, sends the heart soaring, causes damaged cells to regenerate. Tone so sublime he must close his eyes. Hold the note till it keens, till it leaps into the stratosphere. Satori, enlightenment in an instant. Nirvana, rapture, never satisfied. After fulfillment, begin again. This castle made of sand melts into the sea, eventually. My thoughts about luck become conflated with my thoughts about rock and roll because the music saved my ass. Everyone is a snob about the music they like and wonders why others waste their time on nonsense. This attitude is obnoxious and irrational, but unavoidable. On a good day, life-saving tunes arrive in the mail from the East Coast. My music angels come through again. The soundtrack unfolds. Music gonna make everything all right. Rock liberates, allows us to imagine ourselves as rebels, even when we are completely imprisoned. I gave her my heart, but she wanted my soul. Ganesh raises his axe to sever the bond of all attachments. I must sing again, or they will never know. It was me who transcended this unpleasant turn of events. I get by with a little help from my friends. Amateur alchemist, remover of obstacles, lover, lifer, acolyte, wide-eyed, submissive, true believer, renunciate, pompatus of, Jeepster 4. So maybe you could tell music matters a little bit too. Okay. This poem is for Dennis McBride, who's not here with us. Some of you know him. It's dedicated to him. And the last line of this poem, which will also be the title of the next poem, is Dennis's, and it was almost the title of this book. But I decided there's so much material from other people in this book that the title should be something that was all mine. But I hope someday there'll be a title with this phrase that you're going to hear at the end of this poem. But the title of the poem, of this poem, comes from Dr. Jeffrey Squires in the film The Whackness. Do you have any fans of The Whackness here? Never trust anybody who doesn't smoke pot or listen to Bob Dylan. When I was a toddler, I sat on Freud's lap. My connection to him is from the bottom up. He was always good for a story. I look at the flower and I want to fuck it. This is sanctuary. As he dissects space and time, a sound like a thorn unfurling emanates from deep in Dennis's throat. He suggests that it is a sensory issue in the automatic facet. Reality is a filthy tyrant in tight pants. And now, reality is a filthy tyrant in tight pants, for my friends at Paper Tiger Coffee. Flirted with the paleontologist, he invited me to his penthouse. It's weird the sacrifices you make for beauty. Eyes see crazy fast. Nothing here occurs in a vacuum. William Berg saw eternity in an hour. Kind of a meandering, thoughtful something. Kicks in all genres. I pleasured 23 vaginas. Jenny bitch-slapped Azure. My sister and I planted thought forms down the hall. Oh shit, she mused. This image is hardened, a tool to possibly make changes. It's very abstract and complicated, I promise. Everything else is free and for your mouth. And we have Mike G, who's with us here tonight to thank for I pleasured 23 vaginas. Very hip, especially for this reader of the Illuminatus trilogy. Oh, and that worked out really great, because what I want to do next is I want to ask Mike if he has. Do you have that piece with you that you wrote?
Oh yeah,
The one that you said you might read tonight if you had a chance?
and I did.
You read it already?
Yeah, that's the one I read.
And I was not in the room, I guess.
But I can read it again.
Could you read it again? Because
Okay.
the next poem I'm going to read is for you, and I thought it'd be a nice
Thank you.
lead in, and then I can hear it. I'm sorry that I was peeing.
I think it's interesting that you changed your hat for the,
I'll read that part kind of.
Me and Beyonce. We need a concert. For Chris.
Towering radiant star fixed in my literary firmament, I respect you best with writing practice, by noting how the kitten slides through the portals of morning, tale inviting me to follow to a winter morning of my own boyhood, the intimation by the curtain, and all that snow beyond the window, the haunting of young bones, brain draining the Dionysus cup. Before I knew anything of metaphysics or sadness, I felt it had been winter forever and always would be, the sublime drifts of white and so many white pages to fill with age, the detailing of pain and resurgence. This I couldn't know then in the delirium of a boy's vision. Courage, brother. We who have loved everything we've kissed, whether shits or gold or lips or memory, and found glory in middle-aged tenderness, I walk with you through a human future of teaching and learning, ascension and tears, fruit tasted and fallen, meaning and doubt. May we as friends embrace and toast with wine the thank you for existence as we age toward an extraordinary winter of white hair or no hair, a life well lived. We loved it all and said so in our poems. The raging flames didn't change that. No discouragement beat us silent.
I knew I missed something good when I left there. I can't think it was that. Thank you for listening to it a second time and indulging me. And I wanted to have him do that before I read you this one. We'll tower while we can, an ode to Mike G. And this poem, for those who are playing the home game, Charles Mingus is in here, my mom's in here again, Wayne Shorter, Lena Dunham, and Angelo, myself. We'll tower while we can, an ode to Mike G. Courageous, engaged, a true friend, possessed of genuine compassion, trying harder than most to put his shit in order. Don't fuck with the laws of nature. Got a funny soul. Blows like Charlie Parker. Loving even when screaming righteous indignation at the gods. Too cute to kill. Everyone's concerned with their stupid money. Mike G's heart is big enough to save the sad, sad world from the class system. Nobody really knows how to deal with the unexpected. How do you rehearse the unknown? If I feel I'm in a tower of terror, a little peace will just let me breathe. The sky becomes like a painting, happy with a hint of confusion, vulnerable, put upon, suffering, defiantly and unapologetically optimistic. Mike G does not stand down. Okay, I'm getting close. I think I'm going to do 2 more, and then we'll call it a night. So, and I'm moving things around, so forgive me for a second. Thank you, Jim. This is longer than most people admit for this kind of stuff. Should get some time to work. Okay, so this one I'm reading for you because Lori's here, and the title came from her. Maybe some other stuff too. Oh, and I'm not gonna read you the whole list, but you should know. Old Dirty Bastard is in here. Patti Smith, Charles Bukowski, Jimmy Page, William Stafford, Matt Eifert is in here, and some translated dialogue from Shaolin versus Lama. A couple other people. You can others. You have to buy the book to get all the footnotes. How's that for an advertisement? Buy my book to read the footnotes. You cannot stop the onslaught of my mighty love, Lori Warringer. Messiah of evil, mind like a labyrinth, the leopard, the all-star, the devotee. A horrifying perfection, has her full attention. It's not vitamins she needs. Here's a little slideshow. Balance on the rice fields. In conversation, souls merge, cross-pollinate. Third pathway observes, taking copious notes. Jesus speaks to her through iambic pentameter. Humping, plurality. Sodomizing, duality. All kinds of unknown things could go wrong. And do. Poem knows where you already are, and it nails you there. Mutate time, really. It's entirely a happy convergence. Nature doesn't give a fuck, man. We got lava bitches here. It's a biohazard. It's chunky. The books can't help me to kill the devil. Sometimes she still has those tendencies. I don't want your judgment. I don't want to freak out about it, but I heard it was pretty bad. I have no identity, lost forever in you. Why do I do it? Why do I come here? How can my mind become peaceful? You must retain the mind of kindness. The odd bedfellows one does keep when he is dead. No one wants to be accused of paying attention to the wrong things. It is strange living in a place where people are soul sick. If you're willing to be puzzled, you can learn. That last piece of wisdom from Noam Chomsky. Okay, so just one more and then we're going to say goodnight. And that is going to be, I like this one. What's it called? An assertion that tolerates no company. Gerhard Richter, Jim Morrison, my brother Jay, Lori Warringer is here again, and a Roman Catholic bishop, David O'Connell. I don't really know who that is, but I stole his line. An assertion that tolerates no company. This is probably a good place to end, so I'm going to end it. Okay. An assertion that tolerates no company. Firebringer, hold up. It's too early for your righteous fury, too soon to unfurl your karmic surprise. Reversals address displacement and linkage, the contradiction and the paradox, entirely transcended and totally transposed. Settle into a hypnotic river of sound. Haunt and be haunted. Intuition is the fire. Freight train, your Friday night nickname. Moments from a fatality, keeper of the secret heart of rivers proclaims, there's more good, and there's more joy, and there's more happiness in life than there is the opposite. And it will be back. Thank you.
Thanks to Steve for the drink. That made that a little bit sloppier than maybe originally.
You're nice, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I mean, this is really heavy. So so thank you to Morgan and Jim and Steve and who am I forgetting?
Scott.
And Scott and Leah. Is Leah still here? She might have gone back for hosting us here. Come back to see the Mosaic show when you have time to see it. Tiffany for helping. Tony for hosting as always. And everybody. Everybody who's in the room is here too, like whether you read or not. That's how I feel about it. Everyone contributes something in. And thank you for what you said about the T's. For years and years, I didn't read any poetry. I'm exaggerating a tiny bit, for at least a few years I didn't read any poetry. Then Lori insisted that I do it. And even after it was insisted upon, I don't feel like this is about me. I feel like I'm the host, this is a service, so I don't want to like overdo it. And so that's why sometimes it might feel like it's just a little bit of a taste, but thank you for letting me give you more than just a taste tonight, so you can see what I've been up to. Yeah, and next month, January 10th, we won't be doing tickets or any of that nonsense. A lot more people will get to read, and we're going to have two of the very talented ladies from Voice Catcher Collective, Claudia Savage and Deborah Brink Warman. So come back for that on January 10th. Thanks, everybody.
Really appreciate it.